Is taking dominion over electronic devices a valid sermon topic? Hi, my name is Ted Rosenblatt, and I'm here with my father, Dr. Rod Rosenblatt, and this is Talks with Dad Rod. We're dipping a little bit outside Lutheranism for this question. This is kind of not really our wheelhouse, but we conversed with folks, and this was one of the questions that came up, or something like it, and so thought we'd throw this one out there and play and have a little fun with it. Dominion, the idea of dominion is not really a Lutheran sort of, that's not where we don't live there.
Yeah, we don't live in that sort of world. If you're looking for some group that does that really consistently and down deep, you'll probably be happier in a Reformed church than in a Lutheran one. They're more comfortable with having an effect through the whole culture in everything that they do. And as you say, it's not our wheelhouse. But when you put it into the pulpit, we sort of wince, because the place of the pulpit is for God's law and God's gospel about Christ. And the pulpit, we think, is pretty reserved for that sort of thing. But the diversity comes from using it a zillion texts to do it. The intensity of God's law over us and the deliverance that Christ did for us. But again, you have all kinds of Old Testament and New Testament texts to use to work with that. So I would probably confine the pulpit to dealing with those two themes, the law and the gospel and the individual sinners, than I would to some other biblical theme. The reason I say you'll probably be happier in a Reformed church is that Reformed theology tends to be encyclopedic, touches on everything and anything, and we don't.
From our perspective, the Lutheran perspective, it tends to be a view of something that is sort of a focus of a behavioral change or a conditional change. You're trying to change, in the spirit of the original question, taking dominion over something. In this case, electronics.
My greatest worry with my grandchildren is not their screen time.
Well, yeah, we look at that through the lens of law.
Yeah.
So if you're doing anything that's supposed to achieve a better outcome and improving your life, and I say life because I'm loath to say something like change your spiritual status, or
yes,
improve your condition in heaven or status in heaven and that sort of thing.
Yep.
So we don't live there either. So we divide the law and the gospel, and we look at these things are law, and the law condemns.
Yeah, it's lex semper accusatat. The law always accuses.
And then in gospel, even though this we know this is sort of nonsensical, is that Jesus behaved on Facebook perfectly for us.
Yeah, right.
to say taking dominion over electronic devimes. Yeah. I had to say that. Jesus is on Twitter perfectly. He's on Instagram perfectly for us, and not running around sinning all over the place and breaking commandments and so forth. But that's what that sort of thing does, is points towards our inability. The law shows us that we are unable to do the things.
Always. And that's a point worth remembering. The both Reformed and Lutheran said the law not only accuses us rightly of sin, but the law gives no ability to do what it demands, whatever. No power to obey. Zero.
It's not an instruction that says if you A, B, C, and D, then you will have achieved whatever. You will have gone toward.
Right.
And we're always looking for an instruction manual on how to do that.
Always.
So built into the into the question is a sort of misnomer from our perspective.
Yeah.
It kind of draws you toward improving behavior, rather than from our perspective, the Lutheran perspective, what we should be hearing is, here, let me show you how you can't.
Yeah.
But the good news is this.
Right. Right. And one of the things you mentioned is important to highlight. Both Reformed and Lutheran say it's not just the death of Christ that saves us, it's also his life. That is, he lived a perfect life, and that's credited to us as well in simple faith. Christ's life, perfect life, is credited to you as if you lived it.
And that's always so hard. All right. We just had a recent episode about dabbling in things that we ought not.
The
occult stuff.
Yep.
Right. And it's the same kind of temptation. Even. And maybe even more so in certain respects, but with certain people, the idea that you could be free in Christ, so that somehow you're free to dabble in that, because, as though it isn't, like dabbling, like going through Stranger Things or whatever, dabbling with things that you ought not, because the negative can have an effect on you. There are many spirits and those things, but we are always dabbling with things that we can do.
Yeah.
We're always drawn into things that we can do.
Yeah.
Even if we're finding out that
ways to self-justify.
You had a thing that some people were highlighting a statement you used in the last episode about we are not justified by our. What was it? It was we are not justified by. It was something about our behavior, or we're not justified by our experiences. That was it.
Right.
We're not justified by our experiences. And, we're seeking the experiences. We seek the stuff that we see in our movies, the really amazing effects and explosions and Moses calling down the column of fire, or there's always this something. We want the lightning strike, We're always looking for something, as I've referenced before. The sons of thunder would like God to smite people that are pissing them off.
Right.
Can you imagine if sinners who believed enough they could call God's fire down on the people that we really were pissed off? Imagine what LA traffic would look like if you could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just be columns of fire all across the base.
Right. I remember Dr. Montgomery saying, we as sinners yearn for an eschatological judgment now, but you got to wait to the end. And there are many biblical texts on that. Not now, but it will come.
So the living by faith part is kind of in the middle. We're always striving towards, what our pastor friend Swerla has talked about, right in the middle. Don't fall into the ditch the error ditch over here, and don't fall into the error ditch over here.
Yeah.
You're kind of trying to stay in the middle, and part of that is not falling into the do stuff error.
Yes.
You can do stuff. I mean, you're helping your neighbor, but this idea that you can do stuff to improve yourself, to go towards more perfection, to
more spiritual. More perfect.
More perfecter.
Yeah.
I love to be annoyed with it because it's just ridiculous. And or improve our position in heaven. There's all kinds of ways that we're always seeking to do that sort of thing. You spoke with that. I know we're jumping about here, but you did that one writing on gift where you had the sinner going, "Okay, I got this. Let's go. Let's do this."
Yeah.
And you hear God kind of sort of going,
"Yeah."
Forehead slap, like, "Okay, seriously, you're not listening."
Yeah, I was coattailing on another author, John Sherrill, an evangelical, and I think it was something like "Not Me, God," a book, and it was direct revelation. But he admitted he's not talking about something that's literally true, or you even look for direct voices from heaven. But he used it as a literary device, and in that exposed how little we know about our inclination away from Christ in every way possible. And that dialogue happens over and over and over again. And I was trying to do the same sort of thing in that message, Gift.
So I think going back to the original question about, should we take dominion and so forth, and I think there are things we can do, but we don't tend to try to spend much time, like you said, with dabbling with culture and affecting culture in those ways. If there is an effect, fine, but ultimately we're trying to reconnect sinners with the salvific work and the sufficient work of Christ,
right,
and his sacrifice
right,
and resurrection for us as the main point, because we so easily stray off into the bushes and all the other stuff.
Yeah, Lutherans are accused of being a one-trick pony. But the reason that's false is that we're trying to do that from all over the Bible, Old and New Testament texts. So we're not, I think the charge is false. But the fact that we always go back to Christ and his work, I'll be criticized for that. That's okay with me.
You'll take that hit?
I'll take that hit.
All right. We'll take that hit. We could be accused of all kinds of things. We're used to it. Accused of all kinds of stuff. And it's pretty consistent. We're used to it. But anyway, I hope it's fun. Anyway, it's one of those things that touches home, and we want to kind of draw you towards our perspective a little bit, because it's different. It's different, and in many respects we think it's freer, and freer in a good way. So that even though there's an eternal freedom that we receive, we see how it also sort of touches our lives here.
It does.
For our neighbors.
Yeah,
right?
and you see it in how you rear your own children. I think we've got the best theology for rearing children that are educated and free of anybody on the market.
Well, you never raised me and my sister to be well-behaved.
Right.
That was not the goal.
Nope.
But it was fun, and it was happy, and it was a mess, because mistakes were made. And, you literally kicked my butt once over that, because I needed it. I was surprised that was all I got. I should have gotten more. Anyway, so there's more. I'm always confessing on this show. At this point, So anyway, hope this is fun for you. Come to 1517.org for more, and we'll do more of this. See you all on social media. Talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us on Talks with Dad Rod, part of the 1517 Podcast Network. This podcast and all 1517's content is made possible through financial support by listeners just like you. Please visit 1517.org for more, and please consider clicking on the donate button and making a recurring or one-time contribution to help us share this good news in a world which so desperately needs it.